Okay, so let's talk about a powerful new tool that's making some pretty huge promises, basically to revolutionize how we code by giving every single developer a free AI copilot. In this explainer, we're going to break down what it is, what it does, and what the real cost might be.
Yeah, you heard that right. That's the claim right on Trae's homepage. It's a new AI coding assistant from ByteDance, the company behind TikTok. And they're not messing around. They're positioning it as a 10x AI engineer that's ready to just build software for you. So, Trae gives you access to some incredibly powerful models like GPT-4o, completely for free. And whenever you see something that powerful for free, it just has to make you wonder, right? What's the catch? What's the actual price we're paying here?
So, why is a tool like Trace so appealing in the first place? Well, to get that, we need to zoom out a little and look at the absolutely massive shift that AI is causing in the software world. This isn't just about getting a little help with your code anymore. Researchers are talking about a completely new way of working, what they call an AI native process. The idea is that AI isn't just a tool you use, it's a core partner from the very first idea all the way to the finished product.
And this diagram here, I know it looks a bit complex, but it illustrates the change perfectly. See the V shape on the left? That's the old way. Developers spent a ton of time at the very bottom doing the actual coding. But now, look at the V-bounds model on the right. The idea is that AI makes that coding part almost instantaneous. It just bounces right back up. So what does that do? It lets us humans focus on the really important stuff at the top, figuring out what to build and making sure it actually works right. And hey, this isn't just some theory. A huge study on GitHub Copilot found that developers using it finished their tasks more than 55% faster. That is a massive productivity gain, and that's the incredible promise that's driving tools like Trae. Okay, so the benefits are pretty clear, but when you download a free tool that's this powerful, you have to ask, what are you actually agreeing to? We decided to dig into the privacy policy.
Well, they don't exactly hide it. Trey's privacy policy is super direct. It states point blank that they collect what they call user content. And that includes your prompts, your text, your code, and any files you upload. User content is a pretty broad term, right? So that one sentence just opens up a ton of other questions. How much data are we really talking about here? And what are the actual mechanics of how it's being collected? The policy breaks it down a bit. It talks about the info you actively give them, account details, that kind of thing. But for developers, the big one is user content. This means everything you type into the AI, and this is the really crucial part, it means your codebase files get temporarily uploaded to their servers. And that's just the stuff you know you're providing. On top of all that, there's a whole category of data that's just collected automatically in the background. We're talking about technical details about your machine, your IP address, and unique ID for your device, and really detailed usage information. Basically, a log of when, how, and how often you're using the platform. So the official policy gives us one story, but what's actually happening on a technical level, under the hood? Well, the cybersecurity firm Unit 221B did a deep dive to find out. And what they found was a lot more than just basic tracking. They describe it as enterprise-grade telemetry. Now, this isn't the simple analytics you'd find in a consumer app. This is a complex, sophisticated system for data collection. It's more like something you'd expect to find in corporate monitoring software. What's really telling is the network activity. The analysis showed Trae is constantly connecting to at least 5 different ByteDance domains. This isn't just a single pipe for data. It's a whole network of them, a multi-pronged system for sending and receiving information, covering everything from telemetry to remote feature control. And by watching the network traffic, the researchers saw this constant, relentless pattern. The app was phoning home, sending data to these servers about every 30 seconds. And here's the kicker. This happens even when the user is completely inactive. You could walk away from your computer, and the monitoring system is still on, still reporting. Okay, and this is probably the most critical finding. The investigation found these internal communication channels that were processing the full content of every single code file you open. Let that sink in for a second. It's not just logging the changes you make, it's logging the entire file every time you open it or edit it. And beyond all the data collection, the report also raised a pretty big security red flag. It points out that sensitive information, stuff like your login tokens, is being passed around through multiple internal channels. And that design just creates more vulnerabilities. Basically, more doors an attacker could potentially use to try and intercept your credentials. So, all of this leaves developers with a really difficult choice. How do you possibly balance the incredible, undeniable promise of AI productivity with these really significant concerns about your data and your privacy?
On the one hand, the economic argument here is just staggering. Look at this comparison. One study estimated the cost to generate a certain amount of code is around $1,200 a day for a human engineer. For an AI model to do the same thing, 12 cents. And when you see a cost difference that massive, it forces you to ask some really tough questions. What's an acceptable trade-off for that kind of efficiency? It really drives home the point that free isn't really free. You're just paying with a different currency. And in this case, it seems to be your data. So let's just boil it down to the core conflict here. The promise is revolutionary. 10x productivity, coding that's nearly instant, and just enormous cost savings. But the price appears to be persistent device tracking, continuous activity monitoring, and your code being collected by a system that looks a lot like enterprise surveillance software. So ultimately, for any developer, for any company looking at tools like Trae, it all comes down to this one fundamental question. The power to build things faster and cheaper than ever before is undeniable. But as we've seen, that power comes with a price. So the question we have to leave you with is, where do you draw the line?